Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea Papito here. In this video we are going to talk about a new tax regime that has been introduced by the Italian government this year. A brand new tax regime, and it's a little bit complex, but I'm trying to explain it as well as possible, and this tax regime for certain kind of situation might help you to spare a huge amount of taxes. Now, if you're new in this channel, ESENtaxa talks about how to optimize taxes in a specific country, and we are the #1 channel in English language explains how to optimize your taxes if you want to move to Italy. And we also cover other jurisdictions such as Belgium, in which we have our headquarters, and Albania, Portugal, Republic of San Marino, and we are going to move to other jurisdictions. So stay tuned in the channel because we are going to explore all the tax strategies for each and every European jurisdictions, and also cross-check one against each other, and also comparing tax regime one against each other, as we did in the previous videos. Now, going back to today's topic, I want to talk about this new Italian regulation for freelancer and for companies, basically whoever is running a business in Italy. It's extremely important, this new tax regime, because in certain scenarios might give you a huge advantages, and it also allows you to reduce not just your taxes at individual level but also at corporate level. So when you're running a business with your Italian company, with your Italian SRL. Now, the name of this new tax regime is CPB, which is the Italian acronym for Concordato Preventivo Biennale. This is the long Italian word, just to get familiar with it. But let's call it CPB Tax Regime, okay? And this runs for only 2 years, okay? So what can you do in these 2 years? Now, you can talk to the Italian tax agency, and with a specific software, with a specific form to fill, you can ask to get an agreement. So you establish an agreement with the Italian tax agency, and the Italian tax agency offers you this opportunity. So they will analyze your business, they will check that you don't have any debt in the past, you didn't have any problem with the tax agency itself, so everything runs correctly for your business and also at their eyes, so everything is fine, and they will propose you an agreement. For the next following 2 years, they will freeze your imposable income, and consequently you will freeze your taxes for 2 years, regardless how your business is going. So it can go well, can go wrong. So be careful about, so you're ready, the most important point of this tax regime that is extremely useful for those who foreseen an increase of revenue, an increase of profit. Now, let's make an example. So imagine you making, in the last 2 years or 3 years, historically, you have a profit of around 100,000 euro. Let's make simple examples. So with 100,000 euro, and you run your business with an Italian SRL, because the Italian SRL has the profit, has the corporate tax, which is basically 24% plus 3.9 of IRAP, which is the overall, it's around 28% taxes, okay? So on 100,000 euro, you pay at corporate level 28,000 euro in taxes, okay? 28% basically. Now, let's imagine you agree with the Italian tax agency, and the Italian tax agency verifies your history, verifies your business, verifies your data, and they will estimate potentially your business for the next 2 years. So they will estimate that most likely you're going to make 130,000 euro. And the next year, so this is year 1, and this is a year of estimation, estimation 1, estimation 2, okay? And then here you're gonna make more or less 140,000, or they keep the same, let's make it simple. They estimate for 2 following years 130,000 euro, okay? The way has been designed, the law, it's very interesting because the law says if the Italian tax agency agrees with a higher income, virtual higher income, up to 100,000 euro, you will keep paying 28%. But the differences between 100,000 and the extra estimation will be subject to a flat tax of only 15%, okay? Between 100,000 and 30,000, so they will create a tax bracket. The first 100,000 is 28, and the other 30,000 will be subject to 15 at corporate tax, okay? can be squeezed the flat tax down to 10% in certain scenarios, certain situations, and here we have a consultancy service in which we can analyze your business and understand if you can fill these certain scenarios. It's a little bit more technical in detail, so we have to take a consultancy. By the way, in the description below the video, I want to remind you that we have our Calendly link, 20 minutes, 1 hour call or 2 hours call with tax simulation if you want to understand with number if the relocation in Italy makes sense and if your business makes sense with this tax regime, okay? So important, look at the description below our video. So as we said, up to 100,000 euro, I keep paying 28% as I agreed with with the Italian tax agency. And up to 130,000, I will pay 15% and in a few cases 10%. Same stuff for the second year of the tax regime. I will keep the Italian tax agency will freeze my profit at 130,000 euro. I will pay 15% in this small interval and 28 still here. But the reality is that during these 2 years, you can make even 1 million. You will still pay 28%. At the first year, 28%, at the second year, plus this 15%. So you can basically, for real, so this is the way your business is going at the eyes of Italian tax agency, but imagine your business is growing, so you're making 100,000 euro, and you know that your business is going to be like this. So you're gonna make 180,000 for real as a profit, and then 300,000. And thanks to the CPB tax regime, which is this agreement with the tax agency, here you will pay still 28% of 100,000 and still that famous 15% between 100,000 and 300, okay? Here you pay 15%. So here you will keep paying the same thing, even if you're making 180,000, even if you're making 300,000 the second year. And then from the third year onwards, you have to go back to the ordinary situation. Unless you want to renegotiate again for other 2 years these things with the Italian tax agency. Now, the law has been just drafted. Now, they have just approved this improvement with the 15% flat tax in the differences between the estimation of the tax agency and your previous historical and the previous historical profit. Might be that at the end of this year some small details can be adjusted, but I don't think so because now the law has been just drafted. The only doubt is that I can renew straight away after 2 years, so I have to wait for a grace period, okay, or a transitional period before reapply again for other 2 years. Because if it is work like this and my business just keep growing and going and going along, then it's gonna be extremely convenient to keep using this agreement with the Italian tax agency. Indeed, this is quite interesting because if you're previewing for real, but you have to be very, very careful here. You have to make sure that your business is growing a lot. And if you're sure about it, then you can really use this opportunity, because at this point here, your real tax pressure is gonna be around 17%, okay, overall, and here around 10% only at the corporate tax level. So your company, for real, is not gonna pay 28%, but it's gonna be 10% corporate tax. Okay, you spare a lot of money because part of your profit is tax-free. You always keep tax your profit at what you have agreed with the Italian tax agency here in the first place. Okay, I hope I was clear. There are just a couple of limits about this. You cannot make more than 7,700,000 euro, if I'm not wrong. This has been established as the revenue, not profit, the revenue limit, above which you cannot apply for this CPB tax regime. And another important point, this is a good news for Forfait Regime people, Regime Forfettario people, you can use the CPB tax regime also for the Forfait Regime. So if you already pay 5% taxes with the Forfait Regime and your income, it used to be 40,000, you want to go up to 85,000, you can basically ask the Italian tax agency how much you think you estimate my income, and if it's convenience estimation and you're sure to make more money, instead of paying 5% taxes on 85,000, you pay 5% taxes on only 40,000 for other 2 years. You see, also the Forfait Regime, which is already a tax benefit, can be cumulated with this tax benefit. So this is extremely important. But again, we have to check together in the consultancy to see if your situation makes sense for this tax regime. What is not compatible with this tax regime is the unwanted regime. Has been explicitly written in the law that you cannot combine it. And for the pensioner, 7% flat tax as well, and for high net worth individual, 100,000 euro flat tax. Those regimes are not compatible with this one. Only the forfait regime can be put in combination with this one. An example in which you can really use this one, in case you have consumed your unwanted regime in Italy, because now the unwanted regime lasts for 5 years, you are at the end of this 5 years tax regime. For the following 2 years, you can try to use this one if you assume your business is growing, okay? So this could be also another interesting point. What happened, finally I want to conclude this video just explaining you what happened if you make a wrong estimation. So what happens if your business instead is going down? Well, you have to keep paying 28%, unfortunately, because this is the disadvantages of this agreement, but there is also a clause in the law that says if you had very big issues or you have seen some unforeseen situation, there might be the chance that the tax agency spare 50% of this taxation. So instead of paying 28, you pay basically 14% taxes. So you can ask 50% reduction in case your business is going down for an unforeseen situations. I don't know, bad weather that destroy your magazine, destroy your warehouse, or a crime that you have received. So it has to be very, very unexpected things, very bad things that happen to your business. Another point that allows you to exit this tax regime is that if you close your activity. In both cases, even if the things are going well or going down, you lose this chance if in 1 of the 2 years you close your activity. Also, one point I want to remind you that if you just open your VAT position, if you just open your business in Italy, and this is the first year of activity, you cannot apply for this one because the tax agency doesn't have enough history to estimate and propose you the profit that you're supposed to agree that you agree with them for the next 2 years. Okay? That's it for today. Notification bell, like button, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow and to release you for free this kind of information whenever we have these updates. See you to the next content. Bye.